Hello there and welcome to Nanaba's Kitchen. So today I am bringing you Senegalese inspired white jollof rice. So this one is minus tomatoes. It is inviting a lot of assortment of vegetables. So it's going to be layers and layers of fresh ingredients that's just going to wake your appetite up and make you run so fast to the kitchen to prepare your own. It's also going to be centered around an assortment of fish. Friends, I guarantee you're gonna love this recipe. Let's start first by washing our hands. So the first thing we're going to do is prep all of our ingredients before we even start cooking, right? Yes, so first thing we're gonna need is prepare our green marinade, for which we'll need a whole lot of flat leaf parsley. We're going to give it a rough chop and then into the food processor with some other ingredients. We'll blend into a chunky texture. Followed by 1 habanero chili. And I also have already prepped some jalapeno chilies. Just remove the seeds out of them. We want that chili flavor from this. Chili peppery flavor. You want to give these also a rough chop and then add them to the food processor. Then we also have these chilies. They resemble Ghanaian pakosheto or habanero, but they present a fresher, sweet, chili and peppery flavor. So we're going to add these, plus a handful of garlic. All right, so that's blended into a chunky consistency, just how you want it. This is the texture you want. It is originally pounded, which is great, but we want to simplify the process here. All right, now to our green marinade, we're going to add a teaspoon of crushed black pepper and the juice of half a lime. This is because we're using fish. So we want a little bit of acidity. And oh, we almost forgot to season with some salt. All right, now we want to stir it so everything is mixed in together and combined well before we stuff our fish. This is simple enough, replicable enough. You should be able to do this in the comfort of your own home, let me tell you. All right, so our next step is to stuff our fish. So for the fish, I have sea bass, red snapper, and grouper. Okay, to stuff, we're going to create a hole in the fish with a fillet knife, just like so. So now you can insert your marinade in there, okay, on both sides. Time to stuff the fish with the marinade. So again, friends, we are making Senegalese Thieboudienne. That's what they call this dish. It is a type of jollof rice, and as we all already know, the Senegalese people invented jollof rice. That's a debate for another video, so we're not going to get into it right now. But we're stuffing the fish. That's what we're going to get into. And we want the stuffing to remain a stuffing and not to be coated onto the fish, all right? Because when we fry it, we don't want it to burn. All right, so our fish will be marinating at room temperature for the next few minutes. Right, so I have some more aromatics and vegetables here, which will be the base of the broth in which the jollof will cook. We start again with a handful of garlic, about 3 chilies, the long ones, 1 habanero chili, and some sweet peppers. Give them a rough chop before we put them into the food processor. We're also going to need some onions. Rough chop all your vegetables and aromatics. We're going to need a small amount of ginger as well, about half your thumb size. And to this combination, we will add a teaspoon of crushed black pepper, about another teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to add a pinch of dried chilies. This is going to bring us a seasoned flavor, okay? All right, so just a few, and bouillon. We're gonna pour this mixture right next to our green marinade. Both of these components are gonna end up in the rice. So we can pour this mixture right next to the green marinade. No problem there. The last thing we're going to process is a finishing condiment, whose base is mainly Dawadawa or locust bean. We'll mold it into a ball, insert it into the middle of the rice as it cooks. And then in the end, we'll be serving the rice dish with it. For that, we're going to need a 1/4 cup of Dawadawa. We've washed it thoroughly. Just dump it right in there. And by the way, Dawadawa is full of umami flavor. If in absence of that, you can use miso paste. And then we have our dry chilies also go in there. A little bit of bouillon, a bit of salt, crushed black pepper, about a pinch each. We're gonna add 1 small onion chopped, and the juice of half a lime. When I had this dish in New York, I remember the finishing condiment here having a tangy note to it. So that's where the lime comes in. Now I'm going to take about a tablespoon of this mixture here and add it because I need the garlic, a bit of that ginger, and the fresh habanero chili in there. All right. Next step is just chop these onions, which we're going to caramelize in some oil. In the same oil, we'll be frying in our fish, so you can imagine how flavorful the fish is going to be. We'll be cooking soon. All right, so you want to start on medium heat, and then into your pot, you're going to pour some oil, about 2 cups. This is cooking olive oil. Any cooking oil will be good for this recipe. Perfect. We're preparing all of our vegetables. First, we have our carrots, our sweet potatoes, and you want to cut these into big chunks. Otherwise, they will get missing in the dish. And then we have an acorn squash, which we're going to cut into 2 and just remove the inside. Just scoop it out. It's got some stringiness in there, which I don't really care for, so I will scrape it out with a spoon. This is the stringiness I'm talking about. We don't need all that. And I'm going to split this into two for presentation reasons. And these you don't need to peel, because why would you, right? Very pretty, and it's full of nutrients. And also you want to think about the presentation in the end. All right, and then we also have another kind of squash. This is butternut. We're going to also scrape the inside of this. Now this I like to peel because the skin is just way too hard. All right, so we got this out of the yuca. We also have an eggplant. And we have one whole head of a small cabbage cut into 4. As well as a cauliflower. So these are the main vegetables plus some chilies. These are all gonna go in whole. Chilies and peppers, okay? Now, as you can see, I have arranged them from the hardest vegetables to the softest. And it's in this order that we're going to cook them. We're going to perfume our hot oil with some fermented fish and fermented snail. And next we're going to add our chopped onions and fry them until caramelized. And now our onions look caramelized, so we're going to start frying some of our fish. And before they go in, a sprinkle of salt on the outer section of the fish. And then right on the caramelized onions they go. All right, so all the fish have been fried. Next, we're going to add the rest of the green marinade and fry that for about 2 minutes. Then to this fry, I'm going to add Kobe. This is salted tilapia. I have soaked it overnight, so it's not full of salt as it usually is. This is also salted fish and fermented as well. That goes in. About a minute. Just make sure you stir to combine everything. Make sure your fish pieces, your salted fish, are coated with this loveliness going on in here. All right, so as you can see, the parsley is going from that bright green color to a more darkened green. And then we also have all this caramelized onion pieces in there. It has a depth of aromas. Next, we have hot water. We're going to create a broth by adding some of the hot water to it. Perfect. And we're going to taste for salt. We will need to add a little bit of salt because the next thing we're doing here is we're going to cook our vegetables. So first we have our carrots. The harder vegetables go in first, followed by our sweet potatoes, the yuca. Now we're going to cover and cook for 4 minutes. Time to add the rest of the vegetables. So both types of squash go in, followed by the okra, cauliflower. Just make sure they're all nicely submerged. Cabbage. Then the eggplants. You want to initially make sure that all of your vegetables in there are at least coated with the broth. Some more chilies, jalapeno, and these long fragrant ones. And we're leaving them all nice and whole. They'll be great for presentation eventually, but they will also perfume the broth in which the rice is going to cook. All right, so our vegetables are nice and tender. I do not want to cook them further because they will become mushy. So we're going to start retrieving them. See how vibrant the colors are still? This is very important for presentation. Looks like we're able to retrieve all of our peppers. Next will be our eggplant and the okra. The squash is next. This is what we have in here. Our snail, the salted fish or fermented fish, all of our vegetables are out. And now we're going to add this blend. We're going to begin to cook our rice. So we're going to bring this back to a boil. Almost time to put the rice in, but first we have to wash it. The rice of choice for this dish is broken jasmine rice, but you can use the long unbroken kind. You want to wash the rice until the water is completely clear. The next step is typically to steam the rice in the microwave or on the stove, but today we will omit that step and cook the rice dry in the broth. And next we need to add some kind of a browning agent. I have dark soy sauce here and I'm just going to drizzle that in while I stir. I want to make sure this thing is not too brown, but just brown enough to give our rice some color. I think we can start here. Next, we add the rice. Perfect. We need just a tad bit of salt. Cover and cook for 15 minutes. And we're cooking on medium-low. It's been 15 minutes, so it is time to stir the rice. This way the rice can cook with steam. And now the rest of the cooking is going to be done with trapping the steam inside the pots to cook the rice grains through. That's going to take about 30 to 35 minutes. And now checking on it, the rice is about 90% cooked. And now we're going to make space for our finishing condiment. All right, and now we're going to bury it with the jollof. Our rice grains are about 90% cooked. So they're nice and fluffy and loose, which is important to let the steam come through and cook the rest of it. Parchment paper, lid. We'll give it another 20 minutes and we should be all done. So 20 further minutes of cooking on low heat, trapping the steam, and our rice grains are cooked all the way through without any crunchy areas. So now you will go and fetch our finishing Dawadawa condiments. And then you will want to stir the rice all the way through. And let me tell you, friends, this is a beautiful dish and you must try it. Senegalese white jollof rice inspired, minus tomatoes. And friends, when I tell you that Senegalese people know how to cook their jollof rice, because they're the inventors. And friends, don't even get me started on that. You all know that's the truth, friends. This is such a beautiful dish. It is served communal style because everybody is going to dig in right from this platter. So let's set it up. The fish first, and then the vegetables strewn all over to make it look as pretty as you can get it. They're all tender, but they have a nice bite to them, and they're seasoned so well with all the ingredients, the fishy ingredients, the fresh herbaceous ingredients from the parsley, the chilies, the garlic, the ginger. Just such a beautiful dish, and it's also juicy. Nothing is dry here at all. So here comes the Dawadawa. You're going to take pieces of that and insert them at every single little corner you can find. And how you're going to eat that is you take a bit of that, mash it into a bite of your rice, and of course, do not forget your citrus. You need your lime or your lemon or both. A little drizzle of that onto the part of the rice you're going to dig in first, and some of the fish as well. Exposing the stuffing in that fish. Wow, wow, wow. So yes, you eat this together, communal style, like I stated. The family is going to be joining me here soon, but I had to take the first bite. I did all this work. And boy, oh boy, breaking into that happy dance. beautiful, friends. I hope you really give this a shot. Imagine this platter sitting at the table with your other dishes at your next party or gathering. Perfect conversation starter. It's going to make people want to pray quickly and dig all the way in. Yes, thank you so much for watching. It is chop time. Make it a great day and have fun, especially in that kitchen.